Do you want to have the confidence to truly rock retirement? Well, I'm going to show you how on the Retirement Answer Man Show. Hey there, Roger Whitney here. I am your host. And this week we are finishing up our month-long series on how to stay healthy and fit in retirement. So throughout the month, we've talked about the various areas that we need to focus on. And what we're going to do today is talk about how to actually build the habits, how to choose the habits that you want to build, and how to set yourself up for success. One thing that's been really surprising to me, I don't know if this should be surprising, is that in our 6-Shot Saturday email, the email we send out every Saturday where we share resources, I've talked a little bit about my journey in trying to eat a little healthier, and the replies that I've gotten, the words of encouragement, the resources that people have shared have really blown me away. That really shouldn't be surprising though, because when we had our meetup in the Rock Retirement Club, it became very clear that having your buddies, having a group of people that are on the same journey really helps in the encouragement and in the resources and inspiring us to stay on track. I think health is definitely one of those things that there's a lot of value in sharing each other's journey because we all want to be healthier, I think, but we fall down all the time. So I've been blown away by that. Now, just a word about next month. Next month in March, the entire month is going to be dedicated to Ready, Set, Go. What things you need to be thinking about and starting to put in place if you're within 5 years of retirement. So throughout the month, we're going to talk about the things that you should be putting in place if you're ready to launch. You're getting to that point. Now, if you're already retired, I still think there's a lot of things here that apply to you, but I also think you have an opportunity. You have an opportunity to help someone that's a little bit behind you on the journey. So if you have a tip, something you're so glad that you did before retirement, something you wish you would have done before retirement, please go to rogerwhitney.com/Ask Roger and leave an audio message or an email with your words of wisdom for those that are on the approach to landing in retirement. And we'll try to share those on the show because it's your wisdom that really could make the difference in someone's life. So I'm excited about that for next month. But for now, let's talk about putting this all together and actually taking action on being healthier. So when we start thinking about being healthier, we need to define what that means as we get older. It doesn't mean necessarily that we can't win races anymore or be the beach body. But for most of us, as we age, we have to redefine our identity when it comes to health and fitness. And we've talked about this throughout the month. It's really becoming from a somewhat vain perspective. How do I look in the mirror to having a body that we can be an experiencer? So we can actually do the things that we want to do in retirement. And sometimes that means we have to shed old identities, some of them that are very integral into how we define who we are. I am a runner. I am a basketball player. I am a mountain bike racer. All those types of things can be healthy, but we have to redefine what those actually mean given where we're at physically. That doesn't mean you can't be a super fast mountain biker. That was evidenced last year in Colorado when I was riding with a client who is 10 years my senior and they were blowing by me on the trails. It just means we want to be careful that we don't say, well, that was the old me. I can't do anything anymore. So when we're thinking about this health journey, when it comes to strength, mobility, nutrition, we have to define what is it we want to accomplish. So if you think of yourself today, just close your eyes and picture yourself. What is it that you want to improve on? What new version of you would you like to see? I'll just use myself as an example. I'm fairly good at being physically active, but the new version of Roger doesn't eat potato chips and ranch dip throughout the week. The new Roger eats more vegetables, eats things that won't make him so bloated so he can wake up feeling more refreshed and have more energy and maintain his weight a little bit more. So that's my goal. My goal isn't to blow by this client this June on the mountain bike, because we'll probably ride again, although that would be cool, wouldn't it? That's not my goal necessarily. My goal is I want this new version of Roger to be someone that's eating healthier food so I have more energy, I don't feel as bloated, and I'm investing in my body long term. I think it doesn't mean I can't have the chips and dip. I just want this new version of Roger, this new identity, to feel more healthy day by day by not putting junk in his body. So that's how you might want to think about it with yourself. What is it for you? Is it strength? You want to be able to pick up something in the garage without hurting your back? Could it be your weight? You want to be able to maintain your weight or maybe lose a few pounds? Is it your energy level? A lot of it, I think, is that for others. Conversely, if it's not as specific as that, or those things aren't necessarily as motivating for you, maybe your ultimate goal is to be able to walk the streets of Paris all day. You want to be healthy enough so you can do that. Or maybe you want to be healthy enough so you can swim with your grandchildren and run around the yard with your grandchildren. Maybe you want to be healthy enough so you can help build a house for Habitat for Humanity in your community and feel like you can do it all day and not pay the price too much when you're done with the day. I think of Fritz from Retirement Manifesto. His wife has a charity where they build fences for dogs. Because a lot of dogs in certain communities are on chains. So they have a charity where they build fences and they raise money and create a pen so a dog doesn't have to be on a chain. Well, Fritz and his wife have to be healthy enough to go out there and build a fence all day. Maybe that is the goal of whatever you do, strength-wise, mobility-wise, nutrition-wise. Maybe it's being able to golf. The key is you want to figure out why you're doing this, because that will be the motivation and the thing that will bring you back as to why it's important to you. So we've talked about the areas that we should look at building habits. And so I think we have an idea of what to build habits on, but how do we actually build a habit? We're going to talk about that. And the key here is the whole idea of habits is to create something that compounds over time, because that's where the real power of healthy habits come from. And it's okay if you don't have specific things that you think you should do. A lot of times we create these healthy habit motivations into these huge conversations where we build out this huge meal plan, or we go online and we download this workout routine and we just go all in 100%. That works for some, for sure. But it also sets us up for failure. This is sort of like the psychology around New Year's resolutions. We get all gung-ho for 2 weeks and then we start to peter out. That's the danger when we think about making health changes, is just getting so gung-ho at the beginning that it's not, that pace isn't sustainable. So I think you can approach this also from a tinkering methodology where you just experiment. You learn from your failures, you have structured time to explore and invent, and then get to something that you can start to create more compounding with. So an example would be exercise. Rather than create this strict workout regimen that you try to stick to, that it's all mapped out and you do it day by day, maybe every day you just tinker on movement. You do a few push-ups, you start walking, maybe you try a lunge or two, you try disc golf, you try cycling, you just tinker with different things while you explore what you enjoy, and not put so much pressure on yourself to say you're supposed to do 25 squats, 10 push-ups, and 3 pull-ups today. Rather than make it that structured, just go tinker, because this is a journey and you'll get into a rhythm of, oh, I really like to play disc golf. That's going to be my thing for mobility and moving around. I like that better than just walking. So that way you can find it. But once you find it, and you can do this in nutrition and other ways, how do you actually build a habit? Well, I think the first thing you need to do, and this is just from research and experimentation for myself, is you need to set the table, meaning that you need to make the habit that you want to do really simple to do. For as an example, if you want to eat fruit every day, well, you should have fruit on your island. Always have fresh fruit, very easy to grab. If you want to work out in the mornings, put your workout clothes on the first thing when you get out of bed. You'll feel very silly if you walk around in your workout clothes and you don't work out. Put a note on the mirror and in certain places to remind you of the habits that you want to create. I do some of that, but for me, a lot of it is using an app called Strides. I think I mentioned it earlier, where it reminds me. Now, it can remind me and I can say, I'm not doing that today. But it does remind me today. I'm looking at my Strides right now. I've taken my medicine. I haven't taken my supplements yet. No alcohol. I haven't checked yet because the day's not over. I have to read. I have to journal. I have to stretch and exercise. So you could use an app as well. But the key is to make it easy, so it's front and center. Flip side, you can take a bad habit and make it hard. Let's say I don't want to have wine during the weekdays. Well, the easiest way to make that hard is to not have wine in the house. That way, it takes effort to actually go break the goal that you have. Same thing with potato chips, right? If you don't want to eat potato chips, don't have them in the house. That's hard with kids. Carbs are everywhere with kids. What's up with that? I think James Clear in his book, Atomic Habits, talks about if you don't want to watch TV at night, every time you're done watching TV, unplug it. Unplug the cable box or whatever else. That way, if you go to flip on the TV, it's going to actually take more effort to go turn it on. You got to plug it in, you got to plug in the cable box, you got to wait for everything to boot up. It creates friction. So these are ways that we can set the table. Now, how do you actually build a habit? And I'm going to put a link in 6-Shot Saturday, and I highly encourage you read Atomic Habits by James Clear, or read his blog. I'm going to put a link into a habit guide that he created. It's jamesclear.com/habit-guide, or I'll have a link to it in our 6-Shot Saturday email where we give a summary of the show, and that's usually where we share links to resources. You can get our 6-Shot Saturday email by going to rogerwhitney.com, and there's a place to put your name and email. We won't spam you. And so I'm using some of this tips from his guide. First, if you want to build a habit, start with a really small habit. Goes back to that tinkering idea, right? Let's assume you want to start walking. We'll use a couple examples. Well, just go walk 5 or 10 minutes a day. Just make it something that you can do that's not very intimidating. You know, if you want to walk and you go to the high school track and say, I'm going to do 10, 20 laps, well, that's intimidating. It's easy to talk yourself out of it mentally. I wouldn't count on self-discipline here. I would just make it so easy. Yeah, I can walk 5, 10 minutes. So make it really small. I remember when I was doing endurance races, this concept got me through a lot of difficult periods when I wanted to quit, which were many. But I can do this for 2 more minutes. I can keep swimming for another 2 minutes. Yeah, 2 minutes is nothing. Then I'd get the 2 minutes and I'd say the same thing again. So make it really small. If it's eating better, you could say, I'm going to eat an apple a day. Well, 1 apple a day. Put it on the counter. It's right there. Or do 3 push-ups. If it's strength, I can do 3 push-ups. I'm going to try to touch my toes once a day. So the first step is to make the habit you want to create really, really small at the beginning. So easy that it'd be silly that you couldn't do it. And then over time, number 2 is you increase your habit in small ways. Rather than walk 10 minutes a day, you're going to walk 12 or 15 minutes a day. Rather than do 3 push-ups, you're going to do 5 push-ups. Rather than eat an apple a day, you're going to eat an apple and not eat potato chips that day. Or you're going to eat a banana, an apple and a banana. So number 1 is make the habit really, really small. Number 2 is increase it in small ways. And number 3 is as you build the habit up, as it gets bigger, split it up. And this all comes from the habit guide that James Clear created. For an example of if you're going to eat an apple a day, well, you just can't keep adding fruit in one sitting. You're going to be pretty bloated, right? But you can eat an apple in the morning and a banana at lunch. Or you could, when you get to 20 or 30 minutes walking, you could walk 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening. If you get 2 push-ups, you could do 10 push-ups in the morning and 10 push-ups at lunch. The idea is as you build the habit, start to split it out into multiple times during the day. And over time, as you cultivate these habits, whatever they are, they start to become who you are. And that is how the compounding of everything that we do will pay off 6 months from now, a year from now, 10 years from now, in pretty powerful ways. And then the last tip he gives on building a habit may be the most important. When you falter, just restart really quickly with no recrimination, no guilt. Just start again. Begin again begin again. Because I can guarantee you, those that seem very healthy or seem like they got it all together, they fail all the time. The difference is they don't beat themselves up about it too much and they just start again. That's sort of the human condition. So I want to tell you a story real quick to bring home why this whole month is really important. I've been working with individual clients for 25 plus years, and I've worked with some clients for decades. And so I've seen their journey through working, retiring, living in retirement, and growing old. And I can think of a few clients, and I'm going to change some of the information because I need to, and it should, and that's respectful. So I'm going to talk about two clients. I have one client. Well, first off, both of these clients are in their late 70s, and I've worked with them for 15 plus years each. One doesn't seem like they're ever going to slow down. They travel, they golf, they hike. They are really alive, and they haven't quite got to the park bench. I don't know if they're ever going to slow down. Their energy level, their outlook on life is just exciting. I love being around them. They're the kind of people you just want to be around. They're just so curious and into life. And they have healthy habits. Now they have bad habits too, but they have healthy habits. They're physically active, they exercise, they do yoga, they eat relatively well. The other client, roughly the same age, smoked their entire life, continues to smoke, never really took care of the basics of health. They don't eat very well. And in many ways, their life is miserable. It's hard to be around them. It's hard to encourage them because it's this loop that they just never want or can get out of. It's these grooves in their life of habits that are so deep that I don't know if they can build habits or whether if they did, it would make that much of a difference. And just as an outsider observing, as I've walked life with them in the way that I do, the differences between those tracks pretty stark. One is very glad to be alive. The other one, I feel, is sort of waiting to die. Now, there's much more to both of these stories than just healthy habits. There's a lot of different dynamics going on. I think there are, obviously. I think we all have different dynamics, family relationships, how we grew up, past traumas, all sorts of things. Both have had spouses pass away. Both have dealt with difficulties. It's just been interesting as an outside observer to see over 15 years. And again, I'm combining some things here to respect privacy. But habits, whether they're psychological habits, thinking habits, physical habits, nutritional habits, they develop grooves in how we live our life. And those grooves compound over time in neutral ways, amazing ways, horrible ways, and everywhere in between. But wherever you're at, you get to choose whether you keep the grooves that you have, and you get to maybe divert a groove and start to change the direction a little bit based on the habit building. I know you want to because you're listening to this show. People that don't want to do this stuff, they don't listen to this show. If they don't want to rock retirement and they're focused on other things, they listen to other shows. So I'm guessing that you really want to. So think about what habits you're building. With that, let's go chat with our head retirement coach, Beach Walker, in Coach's Corner. So recently in the book study that we had in the Rock Retirement Club, we had over 50 people every session, and we're all on screen. And our head retirement coach, BW, Kevin, how you doing, buddy?
Doing great.
Showed up in a headband, an 80s workout t-shirt, and was doing resistant band curls at the beginning of every session. I appreciate that you really went with the 80s look, BW.
We're all a creature of our environment, Roger. That's where I grew up, in the 80s.
I'm not going to ask how old those workout clothes were. Well, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you. Health and Wellness Month. I love it.
Yeah, we've had a lot of discussion about this in the club. So what is the take you have through all the interactions that we've had in the clubhouse?
Well, I call it the M&Ms. It's the two M's, movement and mindset. And movement is somewhat self-explanatory, although I have a take that I like to tell people you need to keep moving or your body will rust. And that is, with every passing year, I can validate that that is more true than ever. But one thing I like for retirees to think about is not only accomplishing their health and wellness goals, but accomplishing some other goal they have. So if you're trying to expand your social network, you've lost your work colleagues on a day-to-day basis. So maybe you need to join some new sport or group. You can do it a golf foursome. You can do it. I play pickleball with a bunch of neighbors and we have a regular game. So you can accomplish your other goals while you're focusing on health and wellness. If you're trying to improve that changing relationship with your spouse, maybe you start every evening after dinner, we go for a 30-minute walk and really have a great conversation. And so those kinds of things, that's how I like to do the movement part of it.
Two thoughts on the movement as you're talking about this. One is, I would say Sherlock, our Great Dane, has been a big plus in the health because we walk him every day for 30 or 40 minutes because he demands it.
He needs it. Yeah.
And no, he needs it, but he demands it. And then two, prior to Sherlock, my wife and I didn't spend a lot of just simply quiet time together. There was always, we were cooking or watching TV or something else was going on. So now for 30 or 40 minutes every day, we're getting our movement, we're exercising Sherlock, but we're having just conversation. So you're right. You can bring all those things together. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And the other thing I think about as you choose, people spend a lot of time worrying about how do I work out? And I'm a big proponent of functional training. That is, adopt an exercise program and weightlifting program, strength program around your lifestyle. Figure out what you do. If you're a golfer, as I know you are and I am, you need to work a lot on your core. That's very important to preventing back injuries and just allowing you to continue to play golf. So design your workouts around your life. Too many guys, I think, and we all learned this, I guess, in high school, you go into the gym and what do? You jump on the bench press, right? Well, how relevant is that to your daily life, building those pecs up and the triceps? So think about your lifestyle. The biggest muscle, the gluteus maximus, you need that as you age, getting up and out of a chair, not falling. Keep those muscles as strong as you can. That's the movement part of it.
The other thing I think about when I think about movement is I've seen that as I've gotten older, that in the afternoon, evening, as soon as that gluteus, whatever it is, maximus, that big old thing behind me, as soon as that is on the couch, I really don't want to get up. So what I do is I do everything I can not to sit down until I'm really ready, because I know for some reason I just am planted there. So I just keep moving, and whether it's cleaning dishes and doing anything else, because that pull, once you're there, I guess it's an object that's not in motion, does get back into motion easily.
Well, it's good that you know yourself, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So talk about the other M.
The other M is mindset. And I'll be brief here. Never act your age. When we get into this mindset, I'm getting older, and you start putting limitations on yourself, I think that's when we get in trouble as retirees. So yes, you'll need to make some adjustments to what you do as you age. That's inevitable. But don't act your age. Act the age you want to be and live your life with vitality, with zest and energy. If you do those things, you'll have the right mindset to health and wellness and fitness.
I work out in the afternoons, and the hard part with working out in the afternoons is you're tired from the day. And this goes to mindset as you were talking. I have this internal conversation with myself a lot of why I shouldn't work out today, right? I'm tired. I haven't seen my wife. She's cooking. I need to go replace that toilet that my son broke. Maybe I'll just do it tomorrow. There's this mental conversation that goes on, and I don't know why it happens, because I think from the outside, people would say I'm pretty healthy and I work out a lot, and I do, but I struggle with it almost every day. And I'm always happy once I start it. I mean, every time I say, okay, I'm going to go drive out and mountain bike, I'm like, I get there 5 minutes, and I'm so glad I'm here. It's just getting over that hump.
Right. You really feel good when you do it, don't you? Well, and I think that's one area where the social aspect can really help you. If you have an appointment to do some sort of physical activity with friends, then you're going to keep that appointment And so that's a good way to do it. Absent that, if you're working out by yourself, I think you want to make it as habitual as you can and have a set time every day. And that's blocked off of your calendar. Your staff won't put an appointment on there or a meeting on there between 2 and 3:30 because you're going to be working out. A lot of people find, and I've heard many people say, I have to do it first thing in the morning or I'll never do it. And others, I can't work out in the morning because I'd be miserable if I tried that. So they try to do it in the evening. But whenever you do it, if you make it as habitual as you can and trying to involve others, I think will help you with that motivation.
Let's go to that can't word, right? Because this goes to the mindset of I can't because I'm 65 or I can't because I'm not 20 anymore. And when I did CrossFit, whenever you said that word, they said yet. I can't yet. How big do you think that is as we get older? Do you think we frame ourselves as, oh, I'm older, I can't go mountain bike? Do you think we do that to ourselves?
I absolutely do. I think we err way too much on the conservative side of that question. Yeah. And like I say, you have to be rational. You can't do silly things as you age. But I think most of us, and it goes back to why I use the mindset as the phrase, it's your mindset about what you can do. Are you able to do anything? Are you younger than you are? And if you have that mindset, then I think you'll be more willing to try things and challenges. Yeah, if you're going to go on as I know you do occasionally, a hundreds of mile bike rides through the mountains, you need to train for that, right? You can't just go do it.
Yes.
So you have to be reasonable, but you shouldn't tell yourself, oh, I'm over 50 now. I shouldn't be doing a 300-mile bike ride. Well, of course you should. You just have to be smart about how you do it.
Yes, that's a very good point. Now, you and I were talking before we started about technology, and I've been mentioning a lot of apps that can help us with workout or with eating, things like Apple Fitness Plus, the Peloton app, Noom for nutrition. And you're a little bit like me. You've gone down the rabbit hole on health tracking technology. So tell me a little bit about that and what utility you've found, if any.
Sure. I love to play with the new technology, and I really do think it is changing all of our capabilities with respect to health and wellness. The different fitness trackers we have and wearables, I guess, is the category now. I think I've tried every one that you've mentioned this month, Roger. I have an Apple Watch. It's on my wrist right now. I have a Whoop strap on my arm, which measures sleep and readiness. I have on order an Oura ring.
I lost mine, by the way. I don't know where it is.
Well, you'll need to order a new one. So an Oura ring for sleep. I have been using the Apple Fitness Plus classes and really enjoy them. I don't use them as much as I should, but I love the ability to choose a 10, 20, 30-minute workout and have it sort of creates accountability. Seeing your heart rate up on the TV screen is really helpful to me.
Yeah, I think like the workouts with the trainers on the TV, because I work out alone always. And I almost always ride my bike alone. I guess it is by choice because it's easy. So I have no problem working out by myself. But on the Peloton or doing strength training at the home, I think those apps are great because I get motivated by the trainers and all the cheesy, suck it up, buttercup, and all that other stuff. I get motivated by that. I think they're fantastic. So I recommend people try them out. My question for you is, all this tracking with the Oura Ring, the Apple Watch, this strap you have on, I don't think it goes on your forehead, by the way. Do you do anything with the data? I know I don't very often.
Right. No, good point. I tell you what I'm doing now. I'm still in the trial phase with all these different devices. And one of the main ways I pick the device I like is this sort of the user interface. How does it present the data to me? By using it, what I like to do is look at it once a day and be done with it. I don't want to spend a lot of time. And I will say, I still have it right now. The Whoop strap, I love the way they present the data. I'm hoping the Oura Ring will present roughly the same data. The reason I'm trying the Oura Ring is I don't like having a strap on my arm. I would much rather just wear a ring on my finger. And so there's some push and pull there between functionality of the device. I love having an Apple Watch and I use it for most of my fitness tracking, but I don't like to wear a watch to sleep.
Yes, so that's why I did the Oura Ring. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you. A lot of the data, although I'm trying to learn more about readiness, the various readiness scores you get with these devices. I'm actually going to try one of the continuous glucose monitoring devices here next month to try to measure how my body reacts to food in various combinations, along with working out, when you work out versus when you eat, and see how my body reacts. And I will use that data to try to come up with a better approach to nutrition and fitness.
When I think of this data, I think of it two ways. Like when I have my labs done, I just had blood taken for my 6-month checkup where they take blood and I get all my levels back and I keep them all. And I have a spreadsheet where I just at 54, if I can start tracking these, the value isn't in any in particular iteration of it, but in my mind, it's when something spikes one way or the other or goes down one way or the other. Then it's like, oh, what's going on there? That's my logic behind it. So I think that's one place where this can be good, right? Because you don't have to analyze the data, I would think. But if you have a stream of things, then you can see anomalies of, oh, should I investigate that more? And then I think the other way that you mentioned is just the reminders of, hey, you've only walked this much today. Just little pokes, that nudge aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things I like. Whoop sort of keeps your strain factor throughout the day, and you try to get it up into the teens every day. And that's a good motivation to do that. So, yeah, I love to use the data, but I don't spend a lot of time with it. One thing I do every day, almost religiously, is looking at the respiratory rate scores to see, have I developed COVID and don't know it? Because that's, it's an early predictor of that. So that's one thing I get up every day and I feel good when I see that my respiratory rate hasn't spiked.
Now, one app that we haven't talked about that I use, and I have a friend who has this massive spreadsheet and he does it that way. And I've tried that, but I use an app and I'm trying to think of the name of it because you think they would show the name of the app on, that would be good marketing if they figured out how to do that. But I think it's called Streaks. And so I can set my own checklist for the day. So if I'm just going to read a few of them, I have stretch exercise. I'm supposed to do that once a day. Journal, read, take supplements, take medicine. And then it reminds me, and then every day I check them off, whether I did them or not. And then I can look at the data and it will give me the, hey, you're 4 days in a row. Good job. But then I can look at the data and say how consistent I've been, and it will give me reminders. So it becomes a gamified thing of, oh, I didn't journal today. I should write something down.
So it's including all your health and wellness into your to-do list, it sounds like.
Right. And it's a reminder. So these are the things I say I'm going to do every day. And it just is a checklist to say, okay, I did these big rocks. I think if you call them big rocks, I should do every day. I should put down, tell my wife I love her. Things like that.
Yeah, I like that, having a tickler system like that, I guess. And the key is to not skip a day, right? Because once you skip one day, then it's easy to skip two.
Well, it'll tell you, it'll give you it'll have some, dude, you missed yesterday, so it'll help you restart. The hard part, I think, with this whole nutrition and physical thing that we need to get over is we make it bigger than it needs to be, because this is an important thing. So it's definitely significant, but we build it up. And we were talking about this the other day, BW, in the book study. When we miss a day, then we get through this, we beat ourselves up. And if we miss 2 days, we all do that.
Yeah. And that's where I think in retirement, you can do a better job, because in retirement, you have the freedom to change your lifestyle to a more healthy lifestyle. When we're in our careers, we often get stuck where we might be stranded at the office late at night for a week or two in a row to get something done, and you have to eat bad food. Well, one of the nice things about being retired is I can structure my day. I can bring in the foods that I want, and you can be a little more purposeful about it. So I think that's a good part of the retirement phase of life. But you made a point that I think bears reiterating, and that is, it doesn't have to become your life. Use my 2 tips, move and mindful, and just make sure you're moving, make sure you're active, whatever that means to you. It'll be very different things for 2 different people. Don't feel guilty. Just try to do better every day.
And if you fail, begin again.
Tomorrow is another day. That's right.
All right, Big W, I appreciate you. You look healthy, and I'm going to hold you accountable.
Thank you.
On your marks, get set.
And we're off to set a little baby step we can take in the next 7 days to start to direct the grooves of our life. So in the next 7 days, as we wrap this up, start to tinker with an area that you want to change who you are, a little bit of who you are. For me, it's nutrition. I want to change Roger's nutritional identity, and I'm tinkering with it, willing to adjust and try to just build little baby habits that I'll try to build over time. Over the next 7 days, I challenge you to do the same. So we just finished up our annual listener survey, where you get to speak into what you want for the show, what you like, what you don't like, so we can create something that's important to you. I'm going to tell you, I am blown away by the response. Over 20% of those that received the request for our survey completed the survey. That is huge. Over 1,000 responses of people just like you in the same period of life that you're in told us a little bit about who they are, but a little bit about what they're excited about, what they're afraid about. And we're going to have a special episode in March where I'm going to share some of that with you and give you what we see as the direction for this show going forward. So I'm excited for that. And I'm excited for you. I hope you are well wherever you're at. Hey, it's time for that all-important disclaimer. We so appreciate you listening to the show and love your questions and love the teaching that we're able to provide here. And actually, it helps us too. But remember, you're not our clients.
Not love it if you took advice from us on the show.
We would not love it if you took advice from us on the show. Realize this is helpful in education. Talk to your legal advisor, your tax advisor, or your financial advisor before you make any decisions.
We appreciate you joining us today for this episode of Retirement Answer Man. Be sure to visit rogerwhitney.com/answers to access the Retirement Answer Library with over 30 checklists to help you make the most of the only life you have. Remember, you have more power than you realize to create an amazing life starting today with Retirement Answer Man. The opinions voiced in this material are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. All performance referenced is historical and no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. Have a wonderful day.